hearts laid bare, battle scars we all still wear. Through the storm, through the fight, searching for hope in the dead of night. No more hiding, no more shame. Face the fire, call the name. Lessons learned, stories told. Rise again from the ashes cold. Tuesday Talk, light in the dark, where the broken find their spark. Tales of pain, but we still stand, side by side, hand in hand. Tuesday Talk, light in the dark, where the broken find their spark. Tales of pain, but we still stand, side by side, hand in hand. Shadows whisper, demons call, but we refuse to lose it all. Every fall, every tear, built the strength that brought us here. We are warriors, we are fire, turn the hurt into desire. Not alone, never lost, one more chance no matter the cost. Tuesday Talk, light in the dark, where the broken find their spark. Tales of pain, but we still stand, side by side, hand in hand.
Well, there you go again. There's always a little problem when you start doing things live. I forgot to turn my camera on. So, good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, December 16th. It is time for Tuesday Talk. And I'm going to just warn you all right here, right now, that both me and my guest are both ill with the winter crud. So, there might be a lot of snot rags, a lot of coughing, a lot of wheezing. But hey, we're going to be here for you guys. So, we are here. Samson, Katie, thanks for being here. You guys are always here every time. Really, really appreciate that. So you might notice I got the Carson Brown Safe 22 Pepper Jack Kennels sweatshirt on right here. We got my two yesterday, one for me, one for Trish. Here is the back. Here's the front. And I love this part down here on the sleeve. Just like Carson's race suit, it's got Safe 22 right down here on the thing, right down here on the sleeve. So we'll go ahead and we'll put that QR code up there for you all right here, right now. Here is the merchandise. Click that link. It's going to be over in your chat box as well. You can go ahead, click on the chat box, get yourself a Carson Brown Safe 22 Pepper Jack Kennels Service Dog Initiative sweatshirt. We're going to be running that for quite a while, right? We still got about a year and a couple months to go on Damien. Damien was down at down with Pepper Jack Kennels at Pensacola. Someone scanned our QR code. Awesome. I love that. Thank you very much. That is fantastic. This live stuff's pretty cool. I'm starting to learn this internet thing. Is pretty neat. So, hey, we're going to get rid of that, but no, we're going to keep that up for just a minute. I got Joe waiting in the waiting room, the green room, as they call it. We're going to bring Joe on here in just a minute. Wanted to talk real quick about the Pepper Jack Kennels Service Dog Initiative. They have started with Damien, right? And they had him down at Pensacola at the Snowball Derby. And I didn't know this, but bringing a service dog into an environment with a lot of people is actually phenomenal training when they're young. You want them to have a good demeanor when they're around crowds of people so that they don't flip out, freak out, go crazy, whatever you want to call it, when they're with their handler. And to have them, man, there's a word for it and I can't remember, socialized. So when they're socializing these dogs, I want y'all to know that you should absolutely come up and meet us when we have Pepper Jack and Damien and Save 22 on site and we've got the dog with us. You should absolutely come up and say hello, meet the dog, throw us a donation, whatever you can do. It's definitely worth it. Look, we got another QR code got scanned. Man, that's really awesome. So, yeah, thank you to Pepper Jack Kennels, Carson Brown Motorsports, Safe 22, everything that they're doing for this dog. I can't wait to give this dog away next year. We should have a veteran picked out by the end of this January, I think. January, middle of February, I think we're going to have our service dog recipient picked. So right now, oh, there she is. She got it. You had to load paper. My show notes finally came down. Thank you, Secretary Tricia. Oh, sorry. So I'm going to read a quick little bio of our guest today. His name is Joe Urick. He wants to normalize sobriety, right? With so many of us, we want it to be a normal thing, right? We don't want to feel jacked, right? When we go out, we don't want to feel like everybody's looking at us because we're not drinking. The Goat Locker boys are headed to St. Louis to drop off some equipment. I saw that. Hey, Drabick, Senior Chief, go check out Goat Locker. Go Talk Live on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock. Phenomenal show. They're all in the iRacing thing. They race 7 nights a week. They broadcast 7 nights a week. And Save 22, as of right now, is their Truck Series sponsorship for that one. And I think next year, we're working on next year's right now. And Senior Chief, we should have an answer for you in the next week or so on when we can make that happen. So keep doing what you're doing, brother. We're so proud of you and all the stuff that you're doing with all the people. I think you're about to give away your 16th rig, right? That's amazing. That's just absolutely amazing. So let's get into Joe, shall we? Joe's waiting over in the room. Joe's got his own podcast. And I don't have my glasses, so this is going to be great. Joe Urick, his mission is to normalize sobriety with veterans who are using and abusing substances in a harmful, self-medicating way. He's a small-town guy from just outside of Philadelphia. He joined the Army in 2000, went over to Qatar and Kuwait with the initial invasion in 2001. He was a Patriot battery operator, missile protector. He emplaced and embedded to protect Central Command in Doha, Qatar. That's where I was a few dozen times, it seems. They were then sent into the Gulf and then staged in Kuwait. And he was put on stop loss, and then he got out in 2004. And then his relationship with alcohol really kind of took off after that. You know, we were all drinking at 18. He was stationed down by Juarez, Mexico. So the drinking age down there was 18. They kept him on base. His kind of alcohol, the disease kind of progressed from there. And then one of the ironic things was his wife told him, get sober or get out, kind of the same thing as mine did. And he said, okay, I'll do it on a trial basis for 6 months. And here we are a couple years later, and he's still sober. So everybody, welcome to Joe Urick and This Sober Vet. So, hey, buddy, how you doing?
What's going on, Flyboy? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us. I know you're feeling a little under the weather. I'm under the weather. This ought to be an exciting show. So, you know, small town boy doing the kegs, doing the farming, the drinking in the farm fields, and then getting down to Juarez, Mexico. You know, you're 18 and you're on base and you just keep drinking. Sounds very familiar to the things that I did as well. And then the wife said, get sober or be single. And you know what? You made a choice. I did it a little bit differently. I went to AA meetings. I did it for 7 years on the AA meetings. You've kind of done your own thing. Can you tell me what was your mindset when she brought that up to you? what was it that, how'd you feel when she said, hey, get sober or get out? Tell me
That's a
about
good
it.
question. There was actually a lot of things going through my mind. Number one was I was a child of divorce. So when we originally got married, I told her, I was like, listen, no matter what happens in our life, we're never going to get a divorce. Because as a kid, I knew what that was like and I didn't want that for my kids. So when she kind of gave me that ultimatum, it number one, it scared the crap out of me because here's this
Right.
woman who at the time we've been married 16 years and we built this solid foundation, beautiful home, beautiful family. And I'm a business owner. I run my business out of the house. And she was like, if you don't stop drinking, like you need to get out. I'm like, what do you mean? I gotta get out. Like I pay the mortgage and this is where I run my
Nope.
business. And she was
Nope.
like, no, well, me and the boys are not doing anything wrong. You're the one choosing the wrong thing. So if you want to continue that path, you need to go. So it literally was enough to scare me straight. That day I told her, I was like, listen, like, all right, I'll stop. Let's give it 6 months. Cause when you're in the epitome of your addiction, quitting forever is just not feasible. That's not even
No.
attainable. So when I was like, all right, let's just try 6 months, because I figured I could do anything for 6 months, and then I'll reassess, thinking like, it's not gonna make that much of a difference. But dude, I'll tell you what, after that first 6 months, literally everything was better. My health was better, my sleep was better, my relationship was better, my memories, my money, like everything. The only thing that was tough was when I first quit drinking, like I literally felt like I was plucked from the matrix. Like I felt like my armor against the world was removed, and here I am naked, now dealing with these emotions where before I would just push them all the way down. Like,
Push
man,
them
don't deal with
down.
emotions. Yeah. So to be able to deal with all that, I never sugarcoat sobriety. It literally was the hardest thing I've ever done, but
Hmm.
it's also the most rewarding thing I've ever done. As you know, I mean, you're
Yeah.
sober and thriving.
Yeah. I don't know about thriving, but yeah, I'm definitely alcohol free now. But that first day, I know what my first day was like, and it was horrible. It was horrible. The shakes, the sweats, the oh my god, I'm a loser, right? Like I'm a piece of for doing this to my family and my kids, and my wife just left with the oldest, and I'm at home. It's April. It's a nice day. I'm in my garage, and she says, "Figure it out." And I'm like, I got online and I said, "How do I know I'm an alcoholic?" And there's AA's got a 44 questions, and just like me, I got it perfect, right? I got 44 out of 44, right? And I figured, you know what? I got to go do something because I never thought I was an alcoholic. I just thought I drank. I didn't know that I was doing these things in a bad way. I guess you'd say I didn't know I was bad, right? I just thought that's what you're supposed to do. My dad drank every day out in the garage. I assumed it was as much as I did, right? I hadn't been listening to the people who were telling me, "Man, you drink a lot." I'm like, "No, I don't. I'm drinking as much as you do." No, you had four to my one,
Mhm.
right? Like I wasn't listening to those things. That first day for you, take me through that first day. You wake up and you can't have a drink, and I know it had to be on top of your head when you first woke up. It wasn't like any other day. That day, you're like, I can't drink today,
It's
right?
very overwhelming. Yeah, because again, something you leaned on for years. Like, I mean, I've been drinking since I was 15, quit when I was 40. So something I was so used to for so long is now stripped from me. So that's why, again, I felt naked. I didn't know what to do, what to turn to. But one thing I do want to say to everyone is nobody could do this alone. Like, if you're considering sobriety, you need a good support system. I relied heavily on my wife, my religion. I ended up getting a male therapist. And when you go to try and get help, even with AA, I went to a couple AA meetings. They really weren't for me. I didn't jive with them. So that's why I decided to get a therapist. And it took me three therapists to
Oh
settle in
yeah,
with one. Because the first two, like, I felt like I was being judged. Like, I'm literally coming to you for help, and you're like,
right.
judging me for what I've done. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to get better. So like next, but finally I found a male who he was an alcoholic and he used I believe it was meth for like 10 years, and he
Ooh,
was just like the coolest down to earth dude I've ever met. He was like 14 years sober, and I just clicked with him. And because I was kind of tainted from the from the last two therapists, I really laid it on thick the first time with
Yeah.
him, and he was like,
Yep.
"Dude, I totally get it. I totally get it. You're right." He was like, "You're right in your thinking, but now let's switch it and let's do this. Like instead of stressing over a beer, just make it to your pillow today, and tomorrow reward yourself with a beer. Just think about that. You know what? I'm just gonna get through today, and then tomorrow, boom, I'll get a beer. Obviously, that tomorrow never comes, but it makes the not drinking a little more manageable than, oh my God, I can't do this for 6 months, you know, because that's again overwhelming. So like
Right.
just different tools like that. And then another thing he told me was you have to do something. He was like, I smoke meats. I do a lot of stuff with meat. He was like, find a hobby because now that you're not drinking, you're going to realize how much time you wasted drinking because you're
Yes.
going to be super bored. Like, holy crap, what do I do with my hands? You know, like I'm not used to being alone this long. Like, so yeah, just different wins. I actually started doing what I call a weekly celebration of sobriety. So every Saturday morning, I would do a ruck march. I'd throw a 60-pound ruck on. There's a trail by my house in the woods. It's like 5 miles, and the reason why I call that a weekly celebration of sobriety is because, again, once you switch the narrative and instead of going, woe is me, man, I can't drink, this sucks,
Yep.
celebrate it, dude. Because honestly, sobriety is a superpower, man. Not a lot of people get to where we are. So we need to flex that superpower and be proud, you know? So yeah, I would do these ruck marches every Saturday morning because back when I was drinking, the last thing I would ever want to do on a Saturday morning when I was hungover is throw a
March.
rucksack on and yeah, and go march 5 miles in the woods. So now I'm doing it because I'm winning my sobriety. And again, it's a reminder weekly of something I need to look forward to, something I need to be held accountable for. So like I cannot drink on a Friday night because I'm gonna be up at the ass crack of dawn on Saturday doing this ruck march. And just by
Yeah.
having little wins like that. And a couple firsts that were tough for me was like my first bad day at work since not drinking. I'm like, I get home and I'm like, crap, like I can't drink. Like I have to sit with these emotions. I have to sit with this shitty day. And yeah, I just have to sit with this. But what I realized was the next morning when I woke up sober, I was kind of like, huh, yesterday sucked, but I got
I
through it
made
without
it.
alcohol. Yeah, I
I
made
made
it.
it.
And then my first, I'm a huge Eagles fan. My first Eagles game, I'm watching it. I'm like itching myself. I'm not drinking
Hmm.
beer. I'm like chugging water like crazy. But Monday came, I wasn't hungover. I made it through an Eagles game without alcohol. I was like, huh, imagine that. So
Imagine
what,
that.
once I started hitting these little wins, then I started to gain my confidence back because now I'm starting to realize that I could be Joe Yurick without alcohol. I don't need that as much as I thought I did, and it doesn't define me as much as I thought it did. So by doing those little wins, I'm now a little over 3.5 years sober. Today, I'm more confident than I was after doing 4 Jaeger bombs on stage singing karaoke, you know, because now I know that I don't need any substance to be me. I could be me. I did one thing no one in the world could say they did. I beat Joe Yurick. That's why I have this reminder. A buddy of mine
I
made
love
these
that.
for me. And yeah, it's just a reminder. Like whenever I feel weak, I look at this and I remember, dude, like I beat Joe Yurick. I could do
I did
anything.
it. I did it. You've given me chills this whole morning already so far. So, um, if nothing else, you impacted me today. So you got your one for
Awesome.
the day. Okay.
Awesome.
Um, we hear so many. I've heard you say it, right? Celebrate sobriety, change your perspective. What are you looking at, right? Um, I had a day. It was before my 90-day mark, and we were doing a combat dining out. So it's, I don't know if you know about those, but it's kind of like a drunk fest,
Mm,
right? And the people that I hung around with were drinkers. And I'm on base. It's a reserve unit. I retired as a reservist. I did a bunch of time active duty and then switched over to the reserves. But we're doing this combat dining in or dining out. I can't remember. And I'm literally like soaked, sweating because I have to go to this thing, and I can't talk to anybody around. Right? I can't talk to anybody. That they're. Let me rephrase. I thought I couldn't talk to anybody about it. Right? So I'm panicking. I'm freaking out. I don't want to go here. I don't want to go there. I don't want to be involved in this thing. And I called a sponsor, And I said, I don't know what the fuck to do. I don't know what to do. Like I'm panicking. And he said, why don't you be the designated driver? I said,
Purpose.
what? He goes, change your purpose.
Nice.
Right now you're looking at it as being part of the dining out, right? You're looking at it as a participant. Why don't you be the individual you were meant to be, which is I was a first sergeant at the time, right? You're a people person. So why don't you be there and take care of people, right? Why don't you
Nice.
coordinate the rides home? Why don't you make phone calls? You stay till the end, make sure everybody gets out, things like that. And I was like, you know what? Okay. And I made it through the whole night, and I ended up taking somebody out of the bathroom at 2:00 in the morning because they were passed out. It was a friend of mine's wife. They couldn't find her. Right. I mean, all those things. And then you see what alcohol has done to these people. And then you start remembering what it did to you. Right. And you're like, well, I don't like the way that they're acting. And I don't want somebody else to have to I don't want to rely on somebody else to get me home, which I had done countless times before. Right. When you're out and you're TDY and, I've trashed hotel rooms. I've, wet the bed. I've done all those things. Just like, that's just who I am. No, it's not who you are. Right. And I think a lot of us, we use alcohol because we're afraid of who we really are.
100%.
We are afraid of who we really are. I thought I had to be, I'll just say it, like my dad. I had to be like my dad. My dad was my hero. And that's who I got to be like. And no emotion, stoic, right? Don't complain. Nothing hurts. And I didn't know how to do that. So I drink. When you quit drinking and now everything hurts and you have all those emotions, you have to change that perspective, right? Being like your dad is not a good thing or a bad thing, right? It's neither one of those. That's just who your influencer was. I am allowed to be myself. And who I am is an emotional person. I do have feelings, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know which way to put that, But what am I going to do with them, right? That's because he didn't have emotions or he didn't show emotions. He didn't know how to talk to me about those emotions. So I figured the only way to get through it was to drink beer with dad in the garage. Oh, well, that's what he does. That's what I should do. And that worked for a while, right up until I was about 36, 37 years old. And then it didn't work anymore. And when it doesn't work, it's like the world's crashing down. It is like they are taking one thing that you survived on for so many years. Well, over 20 years for you. What do I do now? Well, I don't know what to do now. So what I did was I filled my time with AA meetings. And I went to AA meetings for years after that. And I did like 87 in 90 days and just listening. And I understand what you're saying about it not being, it wasn't your environment, right? A lot of those AA meetings can be, you have to go for what you're going for, right? You have to be selfish when you're going to that meeting. You can't worry about what everybody else is doing. You have to worry about yourself. And for me, I don't go back anymore. I'm just in a different place. I'm in a different mindset. I do have a lot more things going on now than I did back then. One of the things that happened with me, a week after I quit drinking, I got my approval to be a flight engineer in the Air Force. Nice. So there was another motivator, right? You can't drink 8 hours prior. I knew what I acted like when I drank. And being a flight engineer, you have to control everything on that aircraft. Not control, but you run everything, right? You run the checklist, you do the pre-flights, you do the post-flights, you manage fuel loads and electrical loads and air conditioning and pressurization and takeoff data and landing data. And you do all these things and you have to be the one, you have to be on at 100. You just have to be. And I knew that if I were to drink, I would not be what that crew needed me to be. So that really kept me going in the sobriety way back then. Again, I apologize. My head weighs about 100 pounds right now. I'm trying to get through these. I'm trying to make sense of it. It's not doing too well for me today, but Man, again, we're talking with Joe Urich, This Sober Vet podcast. He's about 3 years sober now, and he wants to share his story of strength and experience, I guess we'll call it, right? And to normalize veterans being sober. It's okay. So you got sober. You did the 6 months. In that 6 months, did you find, were there ever times when you're like, I'm done, I'm just going to drink? Was there ever anything in there that said, I'm going to do it, it's not worth it? Did you ever have those days?
There was, yeah, because again, life's going to life, whether you're sober, you're recovering, whatever. I mean, there's always things around you that are gonna want to make you retro act the way you would before and grab a beer. And there were times where I'm like, you know what? If I drank early in the day, I could get a quick buzz on, eat, pass out, and by the time like my wife gets back, I could be okay and she would never know. But I just knew that I knew what was on the line for me, and I didn't want to lose that because like
There it is.
my wife, when she gave me that ultimatum, she was dead serious. And
Yeah.
later on I found out that she said, I honestly didn't think you were going to choose us. She was like, I was prepared to lose you because I thought you would choose the alcohol. And that like kind of cut me to
That
my
hurts.
core. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So the fact that I chose her, number one, showed her how much I value and love her. And again, she's been my complete rock through this whole thing. Because in the beginning, as you know, do your emotions, like there's no controlling them. Like
No.
we'd be watching a Disney movie on Friday, and all of a sudden the kids will go over and they're like, "Is Dad crying? Dad never cries. What the hell?" And I'm like bawling my eyes out watching Moana or something stupid. You know, like it's so ridiculous. But again, I'm dealing with my emotions, which is a very healthy thing to do. And do like men cry, that's fine. And that's one thing I really relate to your story is my dad was 100% an alcoholic. He drank 24/7 and pretty much until he died. And that's just what I grew up with and that's what I knew, so that's what I did. But one thing that you and I can now proudly say is we broke a generational curse,
Yeah,
dude. Our kids now don't
absolutely.
have to suffer like we did because we're on this side of sobriety. And now, like, I have very hard hitting conversations with my kids that are very emotional, where both of us are crying because I'm comfortable enough with myself to do that. And I feel like not only does it make my kids better, it makes me better and it makes our bond as a family better because, wow, here's dad being real, showing his emotion, and he's truly being the hierarch, the patriarch of this family by being a leader. He's leading by example, you know, and that's nothing to be ashamed of, dude. Men cry. Everyone cries because, again, life's going to life. There's always going to be something that's going to affect you. And if you can ride it out, deal with that emotion, and then move on, that is way healthier than using any substance to like just suppress that. Because with
I agree.
suppression, one day you're just going to blow up, and that's not going to be good.
Well, you're lying to yourself, right? You're
Hmm.
lying to yourself, and that's the biggest thing. We lied to ourselves for so long about why we were drinking, right? You said it
Right.
in your bio letter that I drank whether I was happy, sad, angry, upset, tired, energetic, whatever. I drank. I had a
Hmm.
reason for all of it. Um, you made the mention that I don't know if I can get this out.
You're good, brother.
Trisha said the same thing that she didn't think I'd do it, and that hurt,
Yeah.
right? That hurts because I'm supposed to be the one that can do anything. And when you think that I can't do something, now I'm gonna fucking prove to you that I will,
Amen.
right?
Yep.
And I'm glad she did it. It hurts that she did it, but I'm glad she did it, right? Because now I know that I'm better. And you
Hmm.
said it too. Being able to show your kids that you can have emotions lets them know that, hey, dad's not perfect, right? Dad's not perfect. He's going to make mistakes. Can he fix almost anything? Sure. But there's things out there that dad doesn't have control over. And sometimes it sucks and sometimes it hurts. And you need to figure out how to deal with it. My son was involved. Well, he wasn't involved. His girlfriend was involved in a bus crash here in Ohio 3 years ago that killed six people.
Oh, that's
Uh,
horrible.
yeah, and his girlfriend was on the bus, and three of his friends were killed from the band.
Hmm.
and I'm at the funeral with him, and I don't know what to say to my kid. That's my son. He just lost three of his best friends, and in one moment, and his girlfriend was on that bus, and I lost it in the car. I lost it with him. I don't know what you need. I'm just telling you, I don't know what you need. And he just looked at me and he said, I just need you to be my dad.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm being your dad. I don't have any fucking idea what to do with you right now. I really don't. And he said, that's okay. You know, those are
That's a
those
real moment.
moments.
Yeah.
Those are real moments. Right. One, you admit you don't know, right? I don't know what to do for you right now. I don't know. But instead of drinking and being a hard ass about it and telling you just suck it up and move on, I'm going to show you my emotions and tell you I'm breaking right now, dude. I'm
Yeah.
breaking.
And that's being a real man. So a buddy of mine, his stepson, in a freak accident while camping, was run over by his father in a golf cart, killed the
Oh my
kid,
God.
which was a horrible situation. And just being a friend, like I watched our friend group, 85% of us just drank and didn't want anything to do with it. Me and three of our other buddies at least went to the funeral, and they're like, dude, I don't know what to say, like I don't know what to do. And I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
let's just be here. We need him to know that we're here. If he wants to lean on us, he'll lean on us. When he looks around, he'll know that we were there for him in this horrible, dark time. It was very uncomfortable, very emotional, but we stood there in unity because he's a fellow Army vet. And we're just like, bro, whatever you need, we're here. And he
Yeah.
just like teared up and gave us a hug and just nodded. And that nod was enough to, as a like, thanks. I get that you're here
That's
and
it.
super awkward, super uncomfortable. But instead of avoiding it, and then those people all regretted not going to that funeral, we were there because we wanted him to know we had his six. As uncomfortable as that is, dude, we stood there and looked it right in his face, and we were there for him. And
Yeah.
I'm proud of the fact that I did that, as opposed to the latter, just drinking and thinking about how much that sucks. You know,
T-Bone says, when your son can be that vulnerable with you, know you've done well. You know
hundred
what?
percent.
I would agree. When your kids can come to you and say, man, I am jacked up right now. I have no idea what's happening. And all I want to do is cry or scream or hit something. Okay. We'll let it out.
Yeah.
Right. When you voice that, when you get it out, one of two things, in my opinion, one of two things happens. One, you validate it, right? It what you're thinking is actually true, or two, you completely disprove it, right? So either what I'm thinking is correct or what I'm saying is wrong. What I'm thinking is wrong. And
Hmm.
for me, 90% of the time my thinking was wrong.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, thanks, T-Bone. I appreciate that. Hope you're out in your wood shop right now doing some work. That would be great. Thanks for chiming in there, T-Bone. So I wanted to ask, prior to getting sober, were you the type of guy who did not call on anybody? Did you never make a phone call? Did you never ever reach out and just go, hey man, what's going on? Did you ever send text and be like, hey, what's happening? We didn't really have text messaging back then when we were drinking. What how have you changed in that aspect? Because I've noticed I reach out a whole lot more now than I ever did when I was drinking. How about you?
I was always pretty social. Like the more buzzed I would get, the more I would back then get on like MySpace and start messaging people.
MySpace.
Yeah, just to check in or texting, whatever it is. Because again, when I was drinking, a lot of times I'd be drinking alone and I'd want somebody to interact with. So yeah, I would always reach out. But towards the end, when my drinking got to the point where I was sneaking stuff, no, I became very just self-centered, recluse, like because I knew what I was doing was wrong. Because when you're a grown man and you have to sneak things, that like you're doing wrong shit. Like I would hide little bottles of Southern Comfort strategically throughout my house because it got to a point where my wife was like, you can only drink on the weekends and you got to keep it limited to 3 beers. So I'm like, oh, sure, I'll drink 3 beers in front of you. But like under the barbecue, I'd have shots of SoCo. When I go downstairs to switch the laundry over, I'd be pounding SoCo. Like, and that's when I knew I was wrong. And then I would start doing stupid things because your tolerance only gets higher with alcohol. So you just have to drink more to get to that special
Yep.
buzz. And then I found myself like drinking and driving. I would call it boozing and cruising. And like, I'm a business owner, dude. Like, that is the dumbest thing you could ever do. Because if I get a DUI, my business is gone. I do junk removal and we drive to people's houses to do our job. And like, just in hindsight, dude, everything I did while drinking, it was so selfish and just ego driven. It was all about
Hmm.
me, what makes me
Yep.
feel good, screw everybody else. And
Yep.
yeah, that's one thing. Now that I'm sober, I must have apologized to my wife thousands of times, but she eats it up every time. But because I just look back and think that, wow, like I didn't give a shit about your feelings. It was literally all about me. If
Yep.
you were to get in the way of me and drinking, boom, we're arguing. I'm bringing up stuff that has nothing to do with this just to get at you because you're hurting me here. So I want to hurt you. Like, luckily, I've never put my hands on my wife. I never got physical, but there's definitely some verbal abuse, some mental abuse, things that I regret. But one thing now is I'm at the point where I'm sober Joe and that was drunk Joe. So I'm really not too embarrassed about it anymore, to the point where my wife had a really cool idea. For episode 10, I wanted to do something special because that was the only time we would be jumping into double digits. So my wife came on to tell my sobriety story through her eyes, which kind of made me look like a piece of shit. But it was very necessary because it gave a voice to the spouse, which is rarely heard. So like, and listening to her talk about me, I'm just like, man, like that sucks. But again, that was drunk Joe. You gotta take that up with him. I'm sober Joe. Like, I'm
Yeah.
doing
I'm
good
sober,
now.
Joe. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk to drunk Joe again.
Nope.
That's not coming out.
It's going.
That is gone. It's really weird how similar our stories are when it comes to sobriety. My last drunk was Tiffany's 13th birthday party, April 26, 2008. And again, if you're butting into my drinking, I'm now going to bring shit up and I'm going to be mad at you.
Hmm.
Well, I have to go pick up the cake at 3:30. Well, no, I want to start drinking now. It's 1 o'clock. I want to start drinking. So I'm mad for
Yep.
2.5, 3 hours prior to go to the Wham-A-Lart and get the cake. I'm so upset when I pull in. I put the kids in the cart. I think Jeffrey would have been 3, Julia would have been 6. So I got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old in the cart. I go right up to the bakery, blue cookies for Jeff, pink cookies for Julia, grab the cake, straight to the back, 2 cases of Budweiser long necks, and I'm back at home drinking by 4 o'clock. By 4:30, I blacked out. I
Damn.
blacked out. I blacked out. I don't remember anything after 4:30.
Mm.
Bits and pieces, right? Bits and pieces. But I laid hands on her. I pushed her. I broke a family heirloom serving bowl, right? That was her
Mm.
great grandmother's. Threw it in the fire. Got in a fight with my cousin. Put my head into a car. I mean, just that was the culmination of all those years of drinking. They all came out that one time, right?
Hmm.
And that was it. You have to stop. You have to stop right now because if you don't, you're going to hurt somebody, if not yourself.
Right.
And your decision making is getting worse, right? Your thought process is getting worse. All these things are happening, and you need to fix it. And the only way to start fixing it is to eliminate the alcohol. So many of us, when we get in there, we think that the drinking is the problem. The drinking is just a symptom, in my
Right.
opinion.
Yeah, it's a solution. Yeah.
It's the solution, and it's a thinking problem. I've noticed that when dealing with vets with PTSD and having these conversations when we're at our events, whether we're at a racetrack or a veterans commission office or wherever we're at, when we have these conversations, a lot of them just need a perspective change. They just
Right.
they're focused on this one event and how horrible it was, instead of looking at what good came out of it. So in order to switch them or help them, right, we'll offer them a different perspective change. Um, I had a guy one time felt that it was his fault that children were killed in an IED, and turning that around and saying, not your fault, you talk about God and your faith, right? So he talked about that as well. So I brought it back to him and I said, what if God gave you that challenge because the guy in front of you and the guy behind you would not have been able to handle that?
Mm,
What if the what if you're the only one that was strong enough to be able to handle that? What about that?
right.
And 6 months later, he crossed a parking lot to come see me
Nice.
and just tackled me. And he said, "Bro,
Nice.
you have no idea. You have no idea what that did for me." No, I don't. You're right. I don't. He goes, "But I want you to meet my wife. I want you to meet my kids. I want you to like
Good.
the perspective change." Right? I think is where a lot of us struggle. Right? We're focusing on the wrong things at the wrong time. So
Hmm.
you've been sober about 3 years. You've got how many episodes in the books? When did this Sober Vet podcast come about? What was your thought process on getting that started and why did you start it?
That's a good question. So back when I was drinking, I would enjoy taking walks in the woods without a rucksack, but because for some reason when I'm alone in the woods, my mind would just get all these really good ideas to help my business, to help with networking and growing my business. So when I became sober and I started these weekly celebration of sobrieties, in my head I'm like, man, now that I'm sober, like I'm sure the creativity is going to come flooding in. Well, like 6 to 8 months of doing these ruck marches, it was just me in the woods and just crickets, just nothing. And I'm like, what is happening? So on one march, I got fed up with God and I had a very stern conversation with him. And I'm like, God, here I am. I feel like I'm on the path you want me to be on. I'm totally sober. I'm totally committed to this new lifestyle. Like, use me. Here I am. I'm fully able. Like, let me be a conduit for your word, your works, just something. Give me a new purpose with this sobriety thing. Here I am, send me, And
Right.
I turn this one corner that I have 100 times on this trail I go on, and in my head, clear as day, I hear this sober vet. And I'm like, this sober vet, like, what is that? So then my mind starts racing. And prior to this, I'd never listened to podcasts. I may have heard like one or two Joe Rogan podcasts, but I was not a podcast listener. So as I'm thinking, I'm like, damn, is that like a podcast where I could get on, tell my story, and kind of bring a new conversation to the world with normalizing sobriety with veterans? Yeah, that could be a perfect vehicle for this. So I'm like on fire. I come home, I tell my wife, I'm like, babe, God talked to me. He wants me to start something called This Sober Vet where I could tell my sobriety story and we could like affect other veterans who are struggling and bring them to this side of sobriety. And I'm like going 100 miles a minute. And she's like, that's cool and all, but you're just one guy that quit drinking. Like, yeah, you're a vet, but you need someone with like credentials. Like, you need to link up with a therapist to even make this legit. And I'm like, actually, that's not a bad idea. So, being a business owner, I thought I had a massive network. And so I started reaching out to my network. And apparently, I know 1,000 veterans and 100 therapists. I didn't know one therapist that was also a vet. And I'm like, you have to have both to be in this world, like just to have that comfort level. Like you and I, we've talked twice, but just knowing that we're vets, like there's an immediate respect,
Mhm.
comfort level, like trust, brotherhood. So about a month and a half, 2 months goes by, and I can't find my partner. So now I'm like, man, like God literally handed me this gem, and I'm already fumbling it. Like, what am I doing? So it was one Sunday morning before church. I'm in bed scrolling through IG, and all of a sudden I see Sergeant Thomas, who was our supply sergeant when we were deployed. She had just posted about Evolve therapy, and I'm like, oh shit. I was like, Sergeant Thomas is a therapist. So immediately I DM her. I'm like, hey, Sergeant Thomas, it's Yorick. And we haven't talked since I got out in '04, so over 20 years. So I was like, hey, Sergeant Thomas, it's Yurick. I had this really cool idea. Can you call me this afternoon? She called me that afternoon. We caught up a little bit and I told her about it. She was like, I would be honored. That's very cool. And I'm like, yes. So now I have my team. So then last November is when we had our first episode. And episode one was me telling my story and introducing
Mhm.
Dr. T. And I figure I had to start with my story because you have to lead by
Yep.
example. If I want my guests to be vulnerable, I had to put myself out there
Yeah.
first, introduce Dr. T. And then episode two, moving forward, we have all sorts of vets, male and female, all branches, different like addictions, anything you could think of, telling their sobriety story, all in hopes to be a light for those still in the dark. Because we know no one's going to stop until they're ready. But if you're currently struggling, and if you listen to all these veterans who were in your shoes that are now sober and thriving, if we could just plant that seed for them to go,
Yep.
huh, maybe I could try sobriety. To me, that's mission accomplished. If each episode can persuade one veteran who's struggling to give sobriety a shot, dude, amen. That's exactly why we're here.
Yeah, it's funny because you say, well, it's funny because I've been there. That's why it's funny. Um, you've done all these things. I've done exactly what you asked me to do. I got sober. I'm doing this, and nothing's happening. And when you stop self-seeking and you start serving, things happen.
Hmm.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't
Yep.
that crazy? Um, Amazing, man. Kudos
Dude,
to you, dude.
thank you.
Really,
Real
kudos
quick.
to you.
So, one of my favorite quotes of all time is by Gandhi, and he says, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." And
Yep.
dude, it couldn't be more accurate because this not only is helping other veterans, but it's keeping me accountable because
Yeah.
each story I hear is therapy for me to remind me why to stay sober. And the last thing I want to do is to have one of our listeners who became sober because of the show find out that Joe from This Sober Vet fell off the wagon. Like now there's too many eyes on me and I don't want to let anybody down. So that just reinforces my sobriety journey and motivates me to continue down this path. Because like even as a business owner, I had this one customer who, when we were on a job, I told her about This Sober Vet, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, do you mind if I share this with my nephew? He's in the Navy, he's struggling with drinking." I was like, "Yes, please do. Like that's why we're here." So a month later, I get a text from her, and she's like, "Oh, I wanted to give you an update on my nephew. He started listening to your show. He's trying sobriety. He's 2 weeks in. Do you mind just reaching out to him?" So I reached out. I had a conversation, and he hasn't drank since that day, which was I don't know, probably 4 or 5 months ago now. So like we're actively helping people. And that to me just fills my bucket and it tells me that we are on the right path. Because again, when I looked into this, there's a million veteran
Hmm.
podcasts, there's a million sobriety podcasts. I couldn't
Hmm.
find one marrying the two. So like that tells me that God was like, you know what, this is a mission. I'm blessed to be even a part of this. But just the fact that I had the honor to bring this conversation to the world is massive because in my mind, this isn't just an American veteran problem. This is like one day there should be a This Sober Vet Germany, a This Sober Vet Japan, because soldiers everywhere are dealing with this because it's so ingrained in our culture and not everyone could deal with it. And another thing I want to say too is I'm not against drinking. I am not
Mm-mm.
against smoking weed. I'm not against any substance. If you can do it in a manageable, healthy way, boom, more power to you.
Go
I
for it.
can't, like, I couldn't imagine when I was drinking, I couldn't fathom like people that would have a glass of wine or two with dinner Friday night and then wouldn't drink till the following Friday. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, are you crazy? Like, dude, I'm as soon as it's 5 o'clock on Friday, I'm double fisting. Like, let's go.
So you were in 2000, 2004.
Yep.
I distinctly remember the 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 alcohol classes. I can't remember what they were, but they were called something. Um, they talked about if you have a beer every day when you get home from work, the first thing you do is grab a beer. That constitutes being an alcoholic, and that's the things that they would tell us. And I'm thinking, no, if you have one beer every day after work, how is that an alcoholic?
Right.
Alcoholics, they 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 don't go to work, right? They have DUIs. They can't maintain their family. Their finances are jacked. I'm none of those. I'm none of those. Yeah, you are.
Dude, that
You
was
are.
my argument too. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was a highly functioning alcoholic. I would get all my shit done and make sure everything was squared away, and then I would hit it really
Yeah.
hard. And
Yeah.
that gave me reason again, like you, I'm like, well, I've never had a DUI. I've never been arrested for drink. Like I'm not an alcoholic. Like yeah, I may drink a little more than most, but yeah, I was in denial too. And going back to what you were saying about the birthday story, one thing that I appreciate now about sobriety is presence. I'm
Yeah.
present in every moment. So instead of those 2 hours where like, man, this bullshit, I can't drink till after the cake. You're not even thinking about that. Now you're playing with your kids. You're making good memories. You're in a good headspace. Like being sober and present is a game changer. Like, dude, that is probably one of the things that I appreciate most about sobriety is like, because now my kids know whether it's 11 a.m. or 11 p.m., they can call on me and I'm present. I'm able to help them. Whereas before, after 5, dad can't pick me up. He's drinking. I got to call mom, you know?
It's last week we talked about um, Christmas and holidays, how holidays can be tough for vets
Hmm.
for a multitude of reasons, right? A multitude of reasons. Mine was I spent so many away that when you're home, you see the commercialization of the holiday, right? Nobody, they that's what I saw. Um, they weren't into being with the family. They were into the gifts and who's going to get the best gift and I have to go get this, and they're fighting to be in line for this gift or whatever it was, or they're at the holiday party and the Christmas party with the family, and you know Aunt Edna's over here being her loud, obnoxious self, right? And Uncle Jack's over there pounding a fifth of Jack, and he's yelling at people, and the kids are all running around, and it's not a good time. Well, now I go to family Christmases, and I love it,
Yeah.
right? I love it. Number one, it's not about me, right? That's the first thing. It's not about me. It's about everybody in your family being together and seeing and enjoying and hugging that little niece and seeing the brand new baby in the family and
Hmm.
hearing the stories of, well, they're doing this now and they're doing that now, and just like you said, being present, just
Right.
be there. That's it. You don't have to do anything. I had the conversation with Trish a lot that, okay, you don't need me to fix anything, right? I don't have to do anything right now. No, I just be here,
Right.
and that's a hard one.
Yeah.
That's a hard
Yep.
that's a hard one for me because I'm that I'm that fix it guy. I'm that I can do it, right? Don't act. I'm people pleaser. I guess you'd say is one way to put it, but um, I'm glad I had you on today, man. I really am. This is more of a sober journey for myself than talking to you today. This is crazy. T-Bone says on YouTube, Italian Army MREs have many bottles of red wine. Well,
Wow.
that's true. Uh, their their thoughts on alcohol are way different than ours, right? They're just way different than ours, and how it's more acceptable back then. Germany's the same way too. Germany, England, Italy. I think all of Europe is pretty much the same way. They just have a different outlook on it, right? Ours, for me, it was you can't do this till you're 21. So now I'm gonna sneak it. Now I'm
Yeah.
gonna try it, and then you try it, and it gives you this warm, fuzzy feeling or whatever you get after that first drink, and then you're constantly chasing that.
Right.
Well, I'd rather chase other things now than alcohol and a buzz.
Absolutely. Yep.
Um, well, what's on your agenda for this sober vet now? What do you got coming up?
Um, s- I'm currently booked out till we just did season 2, episode 2. I'm currently booked out till season 2, episode 16. We release new episodes on the first and third Monday of the month. And the fact that we're booked out that far tells me there's a need for what we're doing. So my
Right?
biggest hurdle right now is simply awareness. So if all listeners can like us on socials, go listen to us on Apple iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Leave a review because that helps when people search sobriety podcast. It helps bring us to the top the more reviews we have. So I just need awareness because, again, this is a message that needs to be heard and it's so relevant. And it's funny because like I said, I'm a business owner. I own J-Dog Junk Removal. We're a veteran-owned and operated junk removal company. And when I would set up at events with that, the community knows what we do. We donate a lot of items we pick up back to the veteran community. Like we do a lot for our community. But now when I set up at events as This Sober Vet, the reaction is literally black and white. Some people walk by and are like, "This sober, whoop, no thanks," and they like
Yep.
walk away in shame. Where other people come by, "Oh my God, I wish my uncle knew about this. He just died of liver failure. He was a vet, blah, blah, blah." Like it either resonates very well with people or very bad with people that are like
Yeah.
currently addicted. So that tells me that this message needs to get out because once we normalize sobriety with the veterans, you guys know more than anyone that 22 a day number, most of those that make this horrendous decision have some sort of substance in them when they're doing that. If we
Hmm.
can normalize sobriety with the veterans, a byproduct of this mission is that number should go down because one of my guests, I think it was episode 5, Michael DeGrave, he's with the red, white, and blue team. They do a lot of physical stuff. He's a cop at his local VA. He said, listen, if you're a vet and you want to hurt yourself, go do jujitsu. Go do a Saturday morning ruck march. Go do something that, yes, it'll hurt yourself, but you'll be here the next day to hug your family. You know, like you don't have to end it. There's so many other outlets. Like we want to see you work through it, you know, and that's why by being a ray of light for those in the dark, like that's what I feel like I'm called on right now.
Man, I love it. I love it. The fact that you have a company that donates back to the veterans simply by cleaning up somebody else's mess, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
that's the bottom line. You're cleaning up somebody else's mess and you're donating that stuff back out to somebody who could use it. You talk about the reaction that you get when they see This Sober Vet. We get kind of the same reaction. You know, our latest deal right there with the struggling let's talk, you know, that's what we put up. That's our new brand, right? That's our
Nice.
brand now. So when we say if you're struggling let's talk about it, the reactions are almost identical, right? You'll see it, you can see it in their face. Something hit, something whatever, and they'll either walk away or they'll hang out.
Mhm.
um, if they walk away, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll come back 2 and 3 more times, and then finally you'll see them and you'll be like, "Hey, man, I've seen you around a couple times. Everything all right?"
Yeah,
And
what's
that's
up?
when that's when it happens, right? And it doesn't have to be about mental health. I want to be clear. You know, a lot of times the struggling part isn't about wanting to die. It isn't about wanting to kill yourself. It's I'm not fitting in, or I don't feel right being out, or I miss all these things that we're in, and I'm having a hard time finding them, and I just don't feel like I'm good enough anymore. And that's when you change the perspective, right? All right, well, look, that's something that you did. It's not who you are. You're now a husband, a father, a wife, a mother. These people look up to you. This is your responsibility now. So you need to be
Hmm.
the best that you can be in that capacity. It doesn't mean that what you did doesn't count anymore. It made you who you are right now. So let's take the positives out of that, put it into what you're doing now, and make you even better at what you're doing now.
Right.
Scott Kahn and T Bone. Let's see. Scott says exactly. And T Bone says they don't say a sober man's thoughts are a drunk man's actions for nothing. Damn
Right.
it, T Bone. Damn it. What are you doing over there, T Bone? Are you pulling out like quotes and Marcus Aurelius books and things like that? Like Marcus. Anyway,
He's on
so
it.
do you read a lot? Are you a reader?
Hmm.
What's
I
some of
love
your
to read.
favorites?
Oof, that's tough. I always like to say the last book I read is my favorite, and I just finished Be Water, My Friends by Bruce Lee's
Yes.
daughter, and that
Yes.
is a great book because it tells you to really embrace who you are and let the world deal with it, you know, and not to worry about outside stuff. Just the best way to honor yourself is to live your life authentically. And I feel like not enough people do that. And that's why I feel, again, honored to be on this path because you can't fake sobriety. You're either
Mhm.
100% truthful or you're lying to yourself, you know? Like, so here I am on my 100% truth, 100% path. And that's why I embrace all the shitty things I did before, and now I bring them to light, and now I reverse the narrative and I look at, all right, well, before I used to get mad about that, but now I enjoy my time with my kids. Now I don't have to go, oh man, we're going to your uncle's, like they don't even drink, like, oh, it sucks, you know. I don't even think about that anymore. And it's so freeing, dude. It's the freedom of sobriety is it's amazing.
I how do you how do you explain that freedom, right? How do you explain that once you've gotten rid of that that weight, right? That that negativity, that drinking problem, that alcohol. Once you've gotten rid of that negative thinking or whatever it is, it's very for me. It's difficult to explain how, like you said, free you feel,
Hmm.
right? It's almost as if like you use your brain as a computer, right? You've got X amount of processing space that you can use, and when you're a drinker or an alcoholic or a drunk or whatever you want to call it, you're using up like 50-60% of your processing power on when am I going to get my next drink, when am I going to get my next
Right.
fix, how much am I going to do, when am I going to get to it, right? And when you free up that brain power, wow, can you
Yeah.
do a
Wow.
wow, right? Like I would always, I'd have ideas, but I wouldn't do them. I wouldn't I wouldn't follow through with it, right? I was too scared. I was too, no, it's not going to work. No, that's not going to work. Whatever. Now it's like, hey, I'll give it a shot. Screw it.
Hmm.
Let's give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work. I'm still going to be here. It's not going to kill me. I'm going to give it a
Yep.
shot. Let's see what happens. And ironically, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work. It doesn't. Whatever you were trying to do, or it doesn't work. But that one time that it does, you can keep going with it,
Hmm.
right? You can keep going with it. And let me build on that a little bit. Okay, that worked. That didn't. All right, let me try this one. You're not stuck in the negatives of what didn't work. You're focused more on the positives now of what is working. That's my opinion. Do you find yourself that your entire mindset has changed, like you've shifted from the negatives to the positives? Or is that
100%.
is that still a work in progress as well?
No, no, no. I agree with you. And what I liken it to is I feel like back when I was drinking, I was a spectator of life. Like if you imagine an arena, I was in the crowd kind of watching life. And like you said, if I had cool idea of maybe being in the arena, I wouldn't do it. Like I would think about like, that probably wouldn't work. But now that I'm sober, my goal every day is to be in the arena and to have spectators wishing they were here. And again, it's being that light. Because I feel like with sobriety, there's a glow in all of us, you know, and especially with veterans, one common denominator I found with guests on my show is once we're set in sobriety, we all turn back to help someone else in some capacity. Some have opened a gym, some do public speaking, whatever it may be. We always go, man, this is actually working and it's amazing. I got to help my brothers who are still struggling. So by me living in the arena now and kind of having the intestinal fortitude to put myself out there, I feel like is a ray of light for those who are still spectating, going, maybe I want to try sobriety, but you know what? Like Joe's doing it, his guests are doing it, Flyboy's doing it, and they seem pretty good. Like, let me try this. And my message to them who are on the fence about sobriety, try it for 6 months. All you have to do is give it a shot. If you can do it for 6 months, reassess your life. If your life is not better in any capacity, you could always go back to the misery you're in. Alcohol will always be there. But I
It'll
guarantee
be
you,
there.
at the end of those 6 months, you're going to look back and be like, wow, like, how did I just lose 50 pounds by not drinking? Like, that shit's crazy. You know, like,
Yeah, that's another thing. You lost like 68 pounds when you
I
went
did.
in 6 months,
Yeah, that's because I was
just
drinking
from
those.
not drinking.
Yeah, because I was drinking double IPAs. So
Oh my
I was
god.
tripling my caloric intake just by the beer I was drinking. So yeah, when I got rid of that, dude, the weight, like it was crazy.
So nowadays, um, do you find it hard to chillax? Do you find it hard to do nothing? Do you find it hard to rest and recuperate, or is your brain constantly going into the next what else can I do? Do you find it hard to sit? Like one of my wife's favorite things is she still works. I'm retired, but she works from home. So after 5 o'clock, she wants to do her thing. And I struggle with understanding that she just spent 8 hours at work with numbers and people all day long. And she probably doesn't want me to jump in on her at 5:05.
Right.
Right. So I got to give her some time. I got to give her that she doesn't have the drive home to get mad or upset or to wind down. She doesn't have any of that. I have to understand that she needs that time. Right. So I guess my question to you then is, do you have a hard time relaxing or chilling out on a daily basis? Right. Because you have the business, you have the podcast, you're constantly thinking, you still have kids, right? Are they all still at home?
Yeah, they're both still at home. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
See, I'm on the other side of that. We just became an empty nest like 2 months ago,
oh
three
wow,
months ago.
okay,
Right. So the oldest is in the military. She's out in Las Vegas. The middle
nice.
child, she's married and has her own house and pregnant. She's going to have our first grandchild in February.
Congrats, dude. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I didn't do
Nice.
it. I had nothing to do
I
with
hope not. Yeah.
it. And then Jeffrey was 21 years old and said, you know what? I'm going to buy a house. So he moved out of the house and bought his
Nice.
own house at 21. So we
Okay.
have a little different scenario here at the house. But, I guess what is it a struggle for you? Right? Because you do have all that time from not
Yeah.
drinking. I mean, I still deal with it and it's 17 plus years. Like, what do I do now? There has to be something more I can do. But her favorite thing is to just sit and watch TV with me or watch a show or listen to music or get in the hot tub or, just she really appreciates what we have built. Right. And
Mhm.
I struggle with that. I
Yeah.
struggle with understanding that we had nothing. We have this now. I struggle with appreciating it. She told me a great line a couple years ago. I think it was when my dad was passing away. I think she said something to the effect of, I think you're confusing being content with being lazy.
Nice.
Oh yeah, she got me on that one. Yeah, you're not wrong, but I don't like that you brought that up for me. Right.
Right.
So do you have that kind of thing? Do you struggle with it? Do you assign yourself certain chillax time to do nothing, to focus on just being with her or the kids, or is that still a struggle with you?
So in the beginning, it was yes. But one thing I learned with time is that I need to give myself grace. And what I mean by that is, as long as, in my mind, I call it the rent's paid, as long as each day I work out at least a half hour to 45 minutes physically, which I do at work, as long as I read some, as long as I get a certain amount of things done during the day, then my rent is paid. Then I could give myself grace that at night I could relax with my wife, watch TV, and I could enjoy that downtime because I know I hustled all day and did what I need to do. On days where my rent is not paid, really struggle to relax because all I think about is I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't do that. So as long as I check these boxes, I'm good to relax and I could give myself grace because I'm super hard on myself and I have to be productive. So yeah, I just make sure in the morning I get all the rent paid as early as I can, so that way when the day happens, I could tackle the day.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I tell people a lot. I'm like, look, just pick three things. Pick three things that you have to do today. Whether that means you're going to make sure that that kitchen is spotless, your coffee is made for the next morning, and you did a load of laundry, right?
There you
Or
go.
whatever you need to do. And it's different for. I don't want to say it's different, but it is different because I'm retired. I don't have to go to work. I don't have to get up and go earn a paycheck. And that's a whole nother podcast
I'm sure.
down the road, right? But I wanted to say too, Katie typed in here. Katie said February will be a year of not drinking for me, and I feel so good, so glad I quit. Katie, I'm happy for you too.
Outstanding. Good job.
Katie does sourdough creations, and she's created some sourdough cookies and breads and things like that. Brought them down to the show. She's actually going to do a cooking class for veterans at our local Sam Center
Oh,
here,
sweet.
probably up in February. So kudos to Katie.
Nice.
And Armor, our buddy Scott over here, says congratulations, brother. He's very happy for you.
I
So
appreciate it.
that's
Thank
on
you.
you. So Scott's recovering from a couple surgeries. So Scott, thanks for tuning in this morning, man. Really appreciate you. Can't wait to come down and see you one of these days. T-Bone, when I asked him what he was doing for the day, he said he was drinking a beer. So
Teach his own.
he's an operator. He's one of them door kicker guys. He's got one of them whack sense of humors. But
All good.
I
All
get
good.
it. Yeah, it is all good. It is all good. So you have to have those couple of things. You got to pay the rent, as you say, and then you're able to relax. The number one thing I found when I first quit drinking was the number one priority has to be not drinking, just
Yes.
for today. If I
Yep.
make it, if it starts to get too hard, it okay, then I'm going to knock it down to an hour. All right. Well, if that hour is too hard, I'm going to give it 15 minutes. If that 15 minutes is too hard, I'm going to sit here for 1 minute and I'm not going to drink. And then I'm going
Hmm.
to celebrate that, hey, I didn't pick up that drink.
Yep.
Right. Okay. I'm going to keep going with it. And it sounds so cliche, I guess, but it's true.
It works.
It works.
Hmm.
So it's not crazy if it works. Right. It's not crazy if it works. Joe, we've been on for just over an hour here. I told you I wouldn't keep you longer than about an hour today. I'm really stoked that you came on. Both of us feeling a little under the weather. I think we did okay. We made a couple impacts on the tube.
Nice.
Again, thank you. Congratulations to you and the success of this sober vet and your own sobriety. And you and I have talked, and I'm going to come on your show at some point. And man, I'm really looking forward to that one too. Not just to share my journey with your listeners, but to go back and talk more about my sobriety journey, because I've kind of left that alone
Hmm.
for a while with the Save 22 thing and focus more on the mental health aspect of it. So it'll be good for me to get back into the sobriety aspect of it, as this was this morning with you, to remind me of where I once was, and I don't want to go back to it again.
Absolutely.
So thank you, my friend. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Can you do a couple plugs for your stuff, where
Yes.
you're at and what your socials are?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're on all major podcast platforms. All you have to do is search This Sober Vet podcast. We're also on YouTube, or you could go straight to our website, which is www.thissobervet.com, and check us out. It's super easy to find. Couple key episodes. Episode 1 is my story. Episode 10 is my wife telling my sobriety story. The season 1 closer was pretty cool. We had the chief branding officer of Grunt Style, Tim Jensen, on. He had a
Yeah.
really cool story. So yeah, that was episode 25, season 1. And then season 2, episode 1, Dr. T came up. We recorded live. It was the first time we were in a room together in over 25 years, and we just kind of did a recap of our highlights of season 1. So that was also really cool. But yeah, check us
That is
out.
cool.
And my challenge to you is, if you know anybody who is struggling, just tell them about the podcast, have them listen. We won't get them to quit right away, but if we could plant that seed of sobriety, you never know what might spark.
You never know what could happen. I wanted to ask you too, when you started, how did you get over the hump of asking people to come on? Right? Because
So
I mean,
I,
you got Tim Jensen. Tim Jensen's a busy dude, and
yeah,
and you reached out and you got him, and you got him in season 1, right? Like
yeah.
that's not easy to do, right? So how did you do it, not having a work behind you to say, hey man, will you come on and do this? What was your approach to that, and how'd you do it?
So number one, I have to give it up to God, because when I started, I only had 3 episodes planned. My story was the first one. My current truck commander with J Dog, second one, and female I deployed with was our third one. That's all I had lined up. And then after those recorded, I started posting on socials, paying ads to kind of get them out to eyes that haven't seen it before. And then people would comment, go, "Oh, congrats! I'm actually 4 years sober." So I do. Bet, would you like to tell your story on the
Right.
podcast? And then I just started building that momentum. And I have a relationship with Grunt Style through J Dog. Um, this is going to blow your mind. I didn't mention this before. So a couple years ago, I was on the first non-scripted veteran reality TV show called Operation Hidden Treasures, and it followed us doing what we do with J Dog. I was on season 1. They filmed 10 episodes. Me and my crew were on 9 of the episodes. It aired on the Discovery Channel and then on the American Hero Network. And Tim Jensen was on one of the episodes with us, because Grunt Style was the biggest sponsor of that show. So when I first started this mission, I messaged Tim. I still had his contact info, and I was like, "Hey, I know you're sober. I'm starting this. I'm going to tap you for the season closure. So he was like, oh, I'd be honored. He was like, I'm going to listen to what you got, and yeah, let's do it. So halfway through, I was like, don't forget, I'm going to hit you up for a season. He was like, I've been listening. I love what you're doing. So I've been planting these seeds, and then we had to reschedule a couple of times, but yeah, we got him on, and it was a great episode. He
Man,
does a
that's
lot
awesome.
for the veteran community. He's
Yes, he
huge.
does. Yeah, he
Yeah.
does. Man, that's awesome. You know what? You got out of your own way and you said, screw it, I'm going for it. I mean, that's essentially what you did, right?
Hmm.
Kudos to you, man. And to everybody listening, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't have a crystal ball.
Nope.
You can't answer that question unless you ask it.
Just
So
do it.
just do it. Just do it.
And I
Yeah,
appreciate the
kudos.
opportunity, Flyboy. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for everything you do with Save 22. I mean, that's huge.
We're trying, man. We're really trying. Albert and I and a couple people that we have with us, we just want to make sure that it's out there, right? We just want you to know that there is somebody that
Hmm.
will listen, right? There is somebody. It might not be Save 22. You might not come to our program, but there is somebody that will listen. And who are you listening to, right? If you're listening to the ones that are perpetuating your sadness, you're not listening to the right people.
Right.
Right? If you're listening to someone perpetuating your downtrodden, your anger, if they're just feeding into that, they're not the right people for you, right? If you're not comfortable being who you are right now, then you need to change it. And how do you do that? I don't know, but let's have a conversation,
Hmm.
right? Let's just have that conversation. Let's look into it. Let's talk about it, right? It might be a 10-minute conversation. It might be a 3-hour conversation. I don't know. It's all in what you're willing to let go of. What are you willing to spew out? What are you willing to talk about and get help for?
Hmm.
Right? I mean, that's essentially what we're talking about here at Save 22. So, the programs, the diversion therapy, the motorsports, the golf, the coffee and conversation, the car shows, like we are going where you are, right? We're not asking you to come find us. We're out there, right? So, kind of like you. Look, man, I'm out here. I'm here. Come talk to me,
Yep.
right? Man, really, really great. You have a great story, man, and I'm glad you came on. I'm glad I found you.
Yeah, likewise. Our stories parallel. So yeah, it's pretty
Pretty
cool.
pretty parallel, brother. Pretty
Hmm.
parallel. So I put your website right there in the chat, ThisSoberVet.com, correct?
Nice. Yes, sir. Yep. Thank you.
All right, ThisSoberVet.com. He is on TikTok right there underneath at This Sober Vet Podcast. The picture in his backdrop right there is his landing page, right?
Hmm.
So give a look for that. Apple, iTunes, all the major players. He's on YouTube right here with us, right? So we'll tag him in this when we get done with it. And man, you know what? I don't know what else to ask you right now, Joe. I
We're
really
all
don't.
good. We covered everything. Yeah.
I think we did. We covered it all. I'd love to have you back at some point.
Sure.
You
Be
open to
honored.
that?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely. I'd be
that's
honored.
that's great, Joe. I'd love to take you to a race next year too. So we get out over there near Philly. We'll try to come take you to a race and get you out and about.
Please do. That'd be
What do you
badass.
think?
Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. This sober vet, Joe Urich, 3 years sober, multiple episodes. Thank you very much, my friend. And
Thank you, brother.
we're gonna let you go. Thanks,
All right,
buddy.
man. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I gotta figure out how to turn this off. That was Joe Urich, This Sober Vet Podcast. And what a great story. You figure out that the alcohol wasn't working anymore. The wife gave him a an ultimatum, kind of like mine did, and said, "Look, I'm prepared to raise these kids alone if you don't get sober." And we have to make a decision, right? We have to make a decision, and that decision was to quit drinking. Was it easy? No, not at all. Did I hate myself? Yeah. Yeah. Was I embarrassed that I let a bottle beat me? Absolutely. I think Joe might have been too. And Joe's done a very good job in the short time of sobriety that he has, 3 years, with coming to grips with that. It's taken me a lot longer to come to terms with that embarrassment, right? It was about 16, 17 years before I was finally able to say, look, I beat the bottle. It is a daily occurrence, right? It is a daily challenge, right? But it's one that does get easier over time, and you just have to do the right thing, the right time, the next right thing. So kudos to Joe and all that he's done with his sobriety and his Sober Vet podcast and the J Dog junk removal. Man, what you're taking somebody else's stuff and you're going through it, and then you're handing out the good stuff to the veterans in the community. So he's got multiple community efforts, multiple reaches, right, to affect people, and we just couldn't be happier for him. So again, thank you to Joe. I'm going to put the QR code up one more time for this sweatshirt right here, the Carson Brown Motorsports Pepper Jack Kennels Damien Service Dog Initiative. There's the front. There's multiple colors. As you can see, we got the tan, we got gray. Here's the back. And the part that I really like is the part on the sleeve right there. Save22.vet on the sleeve. I want to say thank you to everybody for joining in today. Joanne and T-Bone and Pete and Armor, everybody that was on, Katie, right? Everybody that was listening. Samson was on before we even started the podcast. So Samson, thanks, brother. I really appreciate you. And that's all I got today, folks. So tune in probably in January. I don't know that we're going to do any more with the holidays coming up. If you are struggling, please reach out. And if you are in a crisis, please dial 988 option 1 if you're a veteran. That's the Veteran Suicide Crisis Hotline. Give it a call, right? Just start talking. Just let it out. I guarantee you it's not going to be as bad as you think it is in your mind. Yeah, so that's all I got. We're going to play the outro, and we're going to be gone. So here we go. Maybe it'll play. Oh, come on. There it goes.
Voices echo, hearts laid bare, battle scars we all still wear. Through the storm, through the fight, searching for hope in the dead of night. No more hiding, no more shame. Face the fire, call